Hi, I'm Christine. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm here to talk about some recent releases that I've read and if I think they're worth the read or not. Let's jump into it. Alright, so these are some of my favorite videos to do to talk about new releases and if I think they're worth the hype, if you should make them a priority, kind of all of those things. So I have a whole playlist of like if they're worth the hype type of videos. Sometimes I break it up by trope, by subtrope, subgenre, all the things. And sometimes it's just to talk about new releases. So I know I did one recently for the year. I did like 80 plus of new releases for the first half of the year. And then since then I've done some like every 10 or so books that are releasing because I'm somebody who loves to stay up on new releases. And so I think these are always just a fun thing to do and kind of just quickly give you a quick recap what my thoughts were, if I think they're worth it or not, because let's face it, there's so many new releases all the time and maybe you don't have the time to fit all of them in and you want to know like if some of these are worth it or not and kind of just quick thoughts on them. So that's what these videos are for. So let's get into it. All right, so I was going to keep this to 10 new releases, but then I ended up reading 2 more that are coming out at the end of July. So I'm going to fit these in here as well. So these are just the last 12 releases that I've read that came out in June, as well as some that are coming out and still to come out in July. If I think they're worth it, maybe you should go pre-order, maybe you shouldn't, kind of all of those things. Again, these are just my opinions. And so if you kind of jive with some of the books that I do, or maybe some of the ones that I don't like, but you like what I say about them, maybe those books are going to be for you. So let's get into it. As always, all the books and the authors, the titles are going to be linked in the description of the video. So if you miss any and want to go back and check out any of these books, grab them. Like I mentioned, some of these have pre-orders. You can go pre-order the book early, all the things, all the links are in the description of the video for you, as well as if you want more of my thoughts, full reviews on any of these, I do review every book that I read on Goodreads, so you can always get to my Goodreads, which is always linked in the description of all of my videos too. So all of that out of the way, let's jump into it. All right, so I'm just gonna go and kind of release date. So these are ones that released at the beginning of June. So first up is Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This one's gonna be a yes from me. I am somebody who loves Taylor Jenkins Reid. I've read all of her books, all her historical fictions, all of her contemporary romances that she used to write like years ago. I love her books so much. This one is a yes for me. While this one is not personally my all-time favorite Taylor Jenkins Reid book, this is one that I feel like would appeal to a lot of different people, a lot of different readers. I did really enjoy this one, and so this one's a yes from me. This one is set in the 1980s, and we're following 2 different women specifically who are in the space program with NASA, and you see how they come from different backgrounds, different religious backgrounds, family life backgrounds, their educations are different, kind of all of those things, and how they're both kind of trying to maybe fit into the mold at the time, figure out their place in this world, all of that stuff, while also dealing with the space program and with NASA in the 1980s. We get a sapphic romance in here, which I really loved, and you get like a love story happening. There is also some family dynamics with the main character you follow and seeing kind of her life and her family relationships and her relationships over time. I thought this one had some really beautiful quotable moments between the couple in this one, and the story overall just really grabbed my attention and held it for most of the book. Like I said, not my all-time favorite Taylor Jenkins Reid book, but highly recommend it. Had such a fun time with this one. This is one where you have to listen or read until the very last sentence of the book. So if you know, you know. I had fun with this one, so this one's going to be a yes. Then another one that came out actually on the same day, beginning of June. So this is Battle of the Bookstores by Ali Brady. So you've seen me talk about this one already in a couple of my other videos, but this is one that I really loved, and it was quite a like surprise for me. So this one is a yes from me. This one's actually a co-written book by an author duo, and I had fun with this one. So this is a setup of kind of like You've Got Mail, but they both are managers at indie bookstores, and in here it's kind of a switch up. So the hero is the one who owns or runs the romance only bookstore, and the heroine is the one who is the manager of a very like fancy pants literature only bookstore. And so their bookstores are neighboring, kind of on the same street, and a new owner comes in and ends up purchasing both the bookstores and is like, hey, I think I might like just combine this into one bookstore, one manager. So for the summer, I'm gonna have a competition, and whoever does the best like sales at the end of the summer, that will be the bookstore that remains and becomes the manager for both. So it has that setup between the hero and the heroine, as well as there is this like hidden identity, secret identity kind of pen pal trope as well, which I loved, because the hero and the heroine are part of kind of like a Discord or a chat group where it's a bunch of like managers and bookstore owners, and they can hype each other up, talk about new books coming out, talk about like plans for their bookstore anonymously. And so the hero and the heroine are actually friends on there and chat all the time, and they don't realize that they are the same people that they like deal with on a daily basis in person. So much fun. The hero was the sweetest, most charming. I really enjoyed this one. It's such a fun surprise. So this one's definitely a yes for me. All right, and then the third book that actually came out on June 3rd as well. This is Till Summer Do Us Part by Megan Quinn. This one's gonna be a yes for me. If you can't tell, I own a physical copy of it. So this one is so stinking cute. It's giving like perfect summer vibes. So this one was actually a fun surprise for me as well. So I did a recent like reading vlog where I read some books from the top 10 Amazon Kindle like bestsellers list, and this was #1 at the time. I think it's still #1, and so I decided to give it a try. Megan Quinn and I haven't always like been the bestest of friends. Sometimes her books are hit and miss for me, but this one was a definite hit. This is an absolute yes for me. I adored this book. So much fun and so perfect for summer. Basically, this is a fake marriage setup, a fake relationship where the heroine is trying to fit in at her workplace, and it's very much like a dude crowd, and so she wants to fit in with the guys, and basically they all start talking about their relationships and they're in marriages. So she ends up trying to fit in and says that she has plans with her husband for the weekend as well. And so all the guys and her boss over here, and like, what are you talking about? You're not married. And so she has to quickly come up with a fake husband. She tells them they're like struggling because she's like, maybe this can get me out of having him around or having to talk about him. But instead her boss pipes up and is like, wait a minute, like my husband's a marriage counselor and I want to like hook you guys up. We all, for the workplace, do this like whole adult summer camp, kind of like couples retreat for the summer. You and your husband should come and my husband will be your marriage counselor. And it goes from there, and it's so much fun. I highly recommend this one on audio. The interactions with their marriage counselor and trying to prove that her and the hero are like this dysfunctional couple with so many issues was just so much fun, very laugh out loud. And I'm not usually a rom-com girl, but this one really worked for me. The hero in here, he is a billionaire. He is her best friend's brother, and he's trying to improve his improv skills. So that's why he agrees to kind of do this with the heroine. And it's honestly just so much fun. They're like on the wrong page at first and get kind of roped in to these other scenarios. The summer camp was so much fun. Highly recommend. A perfect one for summer. I could definitely see why this one was #1 on the bestsellers list. It's like laugh out loud funny, like I mentioned, but it also has a lot of heart and a lot of emotion and character growth in the book as well. I loved the very like healthy communicative relationships that it has the hero and the heroine learn through that marriage counseling session. So much fun. You can see me gush about this one even more in my recent reading vlog. I'll link that below, but this one's a yes for me. All right, the next one came out in mid-June. So this is Backhanded Compliments by Katie Chandler. I think this is a debut from this author, I believe. This one's going to be sadly a no from me. I really wanted to enjoy this one and love it, but I sadly did not. Felt like it was super boring. I really didn't enjoy the characters in here. They gave very like Mean Girls vibes to each other, to other people. It just wasn't the best. This is basically a tennis rivals to lovers setup, and I'm somebody who loves tennis, so I was very excited for all the tennis moments, but honestly that was kind of like the best part of the book for me. This is a sapphic romance and I wanted to love it so much, but it just sadly didn't work for me. Like I mentioned, the characters were just not very enjoyable, and so I wasn't rooting for them to be together. And here it is a contemporary sports romance, but it also has this element of like a magical realism, kind of like soul fated mate vibes to it, where people in this world end up getting this like tattoo of their fated like partner in life. And so that's kind of the case for the heroines in this one. I just felt like it was a miss overall. I'm somebody who loves tennis. I love sapphic romances. I love magical realism and kind of a fated mates quality to books, but everything in this one, it just didn't work for me. So sadly, a no for this one for me. All right, next up is Gloves Off by Stephanie Archer. This is one that came out towards the end of June. This one's going to be a maybe from me. I feel like I enjoyed it somewhat, but it's also not my favorite like hockey romance that I've ever read, but I am somebody who's read a ton of hockey romances. But maybe take that into the suggestions, I guess. This one is a hockey romance where the hero and the heroine, they have a marriage of convenience setup where the hero is needing a green card type of situation to continue to live and work for the hockey team. And I think they're in Canada, if I remember correctly. And here the heroine actually works for the team. She's like a doctor, and the hero has like made some assumptions about her in the past where he basically thinks she's part of this like wealthy, rich family, which she is, but like her branch of the family is kind of split off from the other like family that he thinks she's a part of. And so he has judged her wrongly and kind of assumes that she has life perfectly figured out. She gets everything she wants. She's spoiled. She's materialistic, all of these things. But of course, he starts to learn that that's not the case with her. And one of the things that also didn't work for me in this book, it's kind of touted as like a hate to love setup, but it's one of those cases where the hero even says in the book at one point, like, did I hate you or did I just hate how much I wanted you? So that part didn't really work for me. Overall, I think this one was okay if you're just in the mood for a quick, maybe sports hockey romance book to read. It hits on all those like usual tropes. It has my wife references. Like I feel like it checks all the lists of like the tropes it's gonna hit, the things they're gonna say. but like overall it was just a little too formulaic and nothing like extra to the characters for me. So this is actually another one that I read in that reading vlog where I read some books from the bestsellers list. So you can check out more of my thoughts about this one in that vlog as well. Again, linked below. But this one, like a maybe. Like it was okay. I would possibly check out more from the author, but this book in particular wasn't like a favorite for me. All right, next is going to be Overruled by Lana Ferguson. This one actually came out on July 1st. This one's going to be a maybe from me. I sadly didn't love this one, and I'm somebody who's read all of this author's books that she's published. I think this is like book 5 now. She always has different tropes. They're all standalones. Some of them have even been like paranormal, monster, shifter kind of vibes, which I enjoyed, but this one was sadly just okay for me. This is basically a rivals to lovers setup where they are rival lawyers, divorce lawyers, and they are kind of working on a case like on opposing teams, and has a lot of that kind of element to it, which kind of gave me like Legally Blonde vibes. Kind of the conversations about the divorce like clients that they're dealing with, kind of that case kind of reminded me of that. But anyways, the couple in here, like I mentioned, rival lawyers, 2 lovers, and what kind of didn't work for me is the fact that these 2 were already hooking up as soon as the story starts. So you kind of already jump in knowing that they have this existing chemistry, but I felt like it was never like sold to me very well. Like they already were hooking up, but then like ignoring it on their day-to-day basis and just like working together. So I didn't really love it or believe in their kind of relationship that was already existing before the book began. I just needed like a little bit something more in here. The heroine as well, she is a grumpy, prickly heroine, which I am usually down for a prickly heroine, but something about this heroine didn't really work for me. She actually just had some strange hangups with her relationships, like with her family. She wanted her parents like divorced to be more dysfunctional than it was. I don't know, she just wasn't for me. So this book overall was very mid for me. Not my favorite, sadly, from this author. I still love the fake mate and the nanny from her more. So this one, it was just okay. I would possibly say like maybe skip it, maybe read it. I don't know. All right, next up is Crazy Love by Willow Astor. So this one just came out on July 10th. This one's gonna be a maybe from me as well. I've read the whole series from this author. This is actually book 5 in her Single Dad Playbook series, which is a kind of like low angst, lightly sports romance series following single dads. So this one is where the hero is a foster parent, or he's trying to become an adopted parent to somebody that is a foster child. And so he ends up needing a marriage of convenience. And so the heroine ends up kind of becoming his friend. Let me back up. So basically the hero is a hockey player, and he ends up meeting the heroine at a wedding that he is officiating in the Bahamas. And so she is there, he's there, they kind of like hit it off, they almost share a kiss, and then she ends up fleeing and ghosting him. So we cut to a couple months later, and she's actually now working for, I think I said hockey earlier, but it's actually a football team. The hero's a football player. I was thinking hockey because of that previous book, but he's definitely a football player, and her father's actually one of the coaches for the team, and she's also the new sports nutritionist for the team as well. And so they end up kind of becoming friends really, really quickly. And then from there, she learns his situation of how he's trying to adopt this foster child that he's kind of looking after. And so he is realizing that he's having trouble of getting the adoption process approved because he's a single parent on paper. He's gone a lot for work, has a lot of like high commitments and things like that. And so he needs a kind of stable household relationship. So the heroine jumps in and is like, hey, I can help you out. We should do a marriage of convenience. Like, I have no problem doing that. So it goes into that very, very quickly. And I feel like with this series, this author in general, her books are just very low angst, very easy, and their relationships are very easy, a little too easy for me. I felt like some of the moments in here just didn't feel very believable for some of the things the hero would say and think, some of how the children's interactions were. If you want more of like a cinnamon roll, very golden retriever hero, the hero in this one is definitely that, but almost to me, like it was unbelievable. So I don't know. This one overall, I would say maybe, depending if you're in the mood for like very low angst, very easy relationships. So that is Crazy Love by Willow Astor, a maybe. Next we have RWangled Love by Anne Einerson. This one actually just came out on July 11th. So this one I really enjoyed. I would say yes for this one. This author really works for me, and I just love her romances so much. She always just delivers on exactly the tropes that you would expect from her books, I feel like. So this one is a CEO turned cowboy romance. So basically in here, the hero was kind of taken in and raised on this Montana ranch growing up. And so he has kind of cowboy roots, but he has since moved to New York and is a CEO. And so one day he ends up getting a call that he actually has a son that he never knew existed. And so he is now the single dad to a son because the mother of his child, who he had like a one-night stand with years ago, has passed away. And so now he wants to be in his son's life and immediately jumps right in. And so he decides, you know what, like New York City is not the place to raise my son. I'm going to need help. I need a community, and I want to raise him in a place that I always felt like at home. And so he takes his son and they go to Montana, so back to into his cowboy roots. His son is actually also non-speaking since his mother has passed away, and so there's a bit of like emotional kind of trauma going through that with his child. So it's also a single dad nanny romance when he gets there. The heroine is his nanny. She's also his best friend's little sister. So we have all that going on. They end up becoming roommates as well because she's sharing her house with the hero and his son. And so we have a lot of that like forced proximity. And this one was just so fun and sweet and cute. And like, I love a single dad nanny romance, and this one really worked for me. Love the cowboy western, a kind of small town setting. We meet a lot of the side characters. It's the first in a new series. This one was super fun. Highly recommend if you love single dad nanny. This is a new one to check out with a cowboy western twist. So I loved this one. It was super cute. It just came out on July 11th. All right, and then these last 4 books, these are books that are all coming out either this coming week of when I post this video or the week after. So let's jump into these ones. First up is The Enchanted Greenhouse by Sarah Beth Durst. This one comes out on July 15th. I love this one. It was so much fun. This one's a yes for me. This is a cozy fantasy. It's the second in a series. I actually love this one even more than the first book in the series, which was The Spell Shop. Listen, I already had a fun time with that book, but this one I loved even more. If you want a like really cozy fantasy, really cute characters, we have sentient plants, and it's just so much fun. Basically in here, the main character we're following, she was turned into a statue for years because she was basically kind of punished for breaking spell law / magical laws, where she was feeling really lonely, where she basically ended up making a spider plant like come to life. It's sentient, which is a character that we saw in the first book. And so she created this little character to be her friend, be her companion. And so she was punished by breaking magical law to do this. And so she was put into a statue form, and it's been years where she was basically just in statue form, couldn't do anything. And so now it's years later, and she wakes up, comes out of the spell, and she realizes she's now on this little island in a greenhouse where there's this kind of like lonely, grumpy gardener there, and all these greenhouses and plants that are needing like TLC to be brought back to life. And so it kind of goes from there, and it was really just cute and charming. I loved the characters in this one. I love sentient characters in stories, especially fantasies, and the sentient plants in here were so much fun. I had such a fun time with this one. I love this book. So this one I highly recommend. I did the audiobook of it early, so definitely check it out. A yes for this one. It's out on July 15th. Then the next book is out on July 16th. So this is Eclipse Empire by Tessa Hale. This is book 2 in her Wolves of Crescent Creek series. I love this one. So I already love this author's books in general. I've read all of her books, all of her series. I always have such a good time with them. If you want paranormal, why choose, fated mates, kind of like touch her and die vibes, very protective heroes, that is what this author writes. I love them and eat up her why choose romances. So in this one, it's book 2 in the series, and you definitely have to read her books in order because like the trilogy is one story of all of the characters in that story, if that makes sense. They're not like separate romances or anything. So you definitely have to read them in order. Book 1 ended on a cliffhanger, and you jump right into actions from that situation in book 2. I don't want to give too much away, but I had so much fun with it. So this is a why choose wolf shifter series where the heroine is actually half wolf shifter and half caster. So she has some magical abilities, and she is a heroine who has been in hiding on the run for reasons in the story, where she runs into the heroes of this one. There's 5 heroes. She runs into them in book 1. And so this is just a continuation of their story. They're all wolf shifters, part of a wolf pack, and they immediately kind of know that each other / all of them are mates. And so it goes from there. A lot of protective vibes. And here you learn a little bit more about some of the characters, and you see more of their relationships just developing. And here you get a little bit of a tease of some group activities happening. It's just a fun time. I love how Tessa Hale writes all of her heroes very different and unique, so you can tell them apart in a book, which is what I need in why choose romances. I love this one. Highly recommend. It's out on July 16th. This one's an absolute yes from me. All right, and then the next one is out on July 18th. So this is Forgotten Dreams by Natasha Madison. This is the 5th and final book in her Dream series. So this is a more angsty, emotional, contemporary romance series that I've really enjoyed from this author. I have read a ton of her books, a ton of her series, but this series has been my favorite from her. So this one I would say maybe to yes. It's not my favorite in the series. It's actually probably my least favorite, but I still had a good time with it. So this one is a small town, friends and lovers, and it has like emotional trauma, emotional scars in it. The whole series, like I mentioned, is very emotional. This one I feel like a little less angsty than some of the earlier books, which are the ones I loved the most, but this one still has like those emotional elements. So basically in here, it starts off, it's the heroine's 25th birthday, and she ends up going into the garage to grab something when she's at her parents' house, and she ends up finding like adoption papers and this newspaper article about her parents rescuing this baby from on the fire station steps 25 years ago. And so that's kind of how she realizes that she was adopted. And so it goes into there with her having all of the feelings that you would expect her to have of finding this out. So she decides that she wants to learn more about like where she came from, who she came from, kind of maybe try to find her birth family, figure out what happened there. And so she decides to move to the small town, which is actually where her best friend lives, who has been featured in the series. And so she gets there, she buys a new house, and the construction guy who's going to be helping her is the hero. So they meet on her first day in town. There's like immediate instant attraction and they become friends to lovers super quickly. This one, my issue with it is that they got into the relationship a little too quickly. By like 35% of the story, they're already pretty happy, settled in life. And so it's more of the like romantic suspense elements that come into this one that play a plot / part in the story. So it wasn't my like absolute favorite in the series. I would say a maybe if you're in the mood for kind of that type of story, maybe. So a maybe from me. Overall, I like this author's writing and this series overall. Just the first 3 books in the series were my favorites. So this one, a maybe. It's out on July 18th. All right, and then the last one that I have to talk about is Chasing Shelter by Catherine Cowles. This is book 5 in her Sparrow Falls series, and it comes out on July 22nd. This one's a yes from me. This whole series is a yes. I love this series to pieces. This is a small town romantic suspense series, and it's so stinking good. I love Catherine Cowles' books. They always work for me. And so in this book, it is a neighbors to lovers setup, and here the hero is a single dad to his daughter. And so we have some like emotional trauma and angst as well with both the characters' past, which I feel like really worked. So basically in this one, you've met all the characters in this book in previous books in the series. For example, like the hero in this one, his siblings and families, they're the Coulson family who have been having books in the series. And then the heroine of this one, we met her in the previous book because that was actually her brother's book with his heroine, who is actually the sister of the hero of this book. So they're already kind of like in each other's lives, the hero and the heroine of this book. So if you're still following me, the heroine in this one, she's kind of needing a new fresh start to life. So she leaves behind New York City, she leaves behind a fiance, she needs a new start. And so her brother, because he lives in the town now, he's like, hey, you should move to Sparrow Falls, got the perfect house set up for you. And so he moves her in right next door to the hero, who's actually a sheriff and a single dad. And so he's like, my sister needs like looking after, so I'm gonna put you right next door to the sheriff. And so this one, it jumps into their romance. And I love the hero in here. He's very much like a grumpy single dad to his daughter, and his daughter is just the cutest thing ever. And I loved her relationship with the heroine, and just kind of seeing this whole like family unit, this found family of all the characters in the series again. It just feels like super comforting. And that's what I love about small town romances, is that you really like get to know the characters and the family of them, and they just feel like coming home. So I really enjoyed this one. The romantic suspense elements really worked for me, and I loved the relationship between the hero and the heroine. They really connect over kind of emotional scars from both of their pasts and their upbringings, their childhoods. And so I just really enjoyed this one. It's so stinking cute. Out on July 22nd. Highly recommend. Like, all the books in the Sparrow Falls series are just so stinking good. All right, so those are all 12 of the recent releases that I have read. And if I think you should check them out or not, definitely let me know in the comments if you're going to be picking up any of these, if you've read any of these, had any similar thoughts to me. If you read any new releases recently that you loved, I would love to know, because I'm always looking for more book recommendations. Like I mentioned, all of the books, the titles, their authors will be linked in the description of the video. So if you missed any and want to go grab them, you definitely can. Also, I've linked the playlist to all the other books where I've done kind of this video of if they're worth the hype or not. So if you want to check that out as well for maybe other new recent releases, or for different tropes or subgenres, any of those things, I have that playlist linked below as well. And if you'd rather leave me an emoji in the comments, leave me a bow, the pink bow for Chasing Shelter, because in that one, the grumpy single dad, his daughter, loves to have bows in her hair. So do a pink bow in the comments. And if you haven't done so yet, make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!